welcome to a Homespun house. I'm Molly, and thank you very much for taking time out of your day to hang out with me. Today I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about spinning because it's something that lately I have really been into. And I hope that for those of you who don't spin, this somewhat interests you anyway. And maybe enables you to spin or gives you a little bit of inspiration or something, because it's a whole new world of fibery goodness and it's so much fun. So my spinning journey began when I have no idea, 16 years old, I would guess. And I bought some fiber. It was 100% merino. Okay, my grandma and I went to Susan's Fiber Shop, I believe it's called, and it's in Wisconsin, and it is an amazing yarn shop. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, and my grandma and I had always been wanting to go there. And there were a lot of times when we just had days where we would go and do stuff together. Maybe once a week, my grandma and I would go and have coffee somewhere, go to a yarn shop, have lunch, kind of days like this where we really just enjoyed each other's company outside of the house. Because I was homeschooled for a couple of years, and I was actually schooled at my grandmother's house. And so every morning we would sit and have coffee together and knit for an hour or so. And then I would go in and work on my school stuff. So once a week we would go in and do fun trips. And so one of these trips we finally decided to go to Susan's Fiber Shop, and it's this massive kind of like barn house, full, and I mean packed. And it's huge. It was huge, humongous. I don't think there's no yarn shop that compares to anything like this. It was full of wheels, drop spindles, fiber, yarn, hundreds and hundreds of any fiber enthusiasts, like wildest dreams. It's really an experience, and I've only been there this one time, and I need to go back the next time I visit Wisconsin. But anyway, so we went into Susan's Fiber Shop. I hope that's what it's called. I'm not sure if my memory is correct, but that's what I'm remembering it as, Susan's Fiber Shop. And I hadn't planned on spinning. I hadn't even thought of it, but I was walking around and looking for something that caught my eye. And I found this fiber. It was kind of a neon green, a pink, a purple, and a bright blue. And it was braided, and it was 100% merino. And I thought, wow, that's really pretty. I've never dabbled in this before. I'm not even exactly sure how to use it, but why not? I'm already pretty good at knitting, and why not learn to spin my own yarn? How neat would that be to like be continuing in the process of creating my yarn, or choosing my yarn, creating it, spinning it, then knitting with it. To me, that just sounded like a whole new adventure that I really wanted to kind of make a part of my knitting fiber journey. So I found this yarn, this fiber, and then I thought, okay, I need something to spin it with. I looked at the wheels and then realized, okay, that's way too expensive for my 16-year-old wallet. And then I found hundreds of drop spindles. And this is the first drop spindle that I found, or that I fell in love with. At the time, I thought it was quite expensive, and I don't remember what it's made out of because it's written on here, but I think it's mahogany, if I'm remembering correctly. There were a lot of other drop spindles, but something about this I just thought was very beautiful. The color, I really love dark wood. I definitely prefer it to more of a natural color. I love dark and rose-toned wood. So this is the drop spindle that I chose. I remember it was maybe $50 or something, but I thought that it was definitely worth it. I'm kind of a person who, when I buy something, even then when I was young, I wanted it to be good quality. I didn't want to just buy a drop spindle for €10 and then have to buy another one. I would rather invest in something, even if I'm not sure that I will really, really love it right away. I like to kind of invest in the beginning because I like to work with good quality things. I think that's important in order to fall in love with the craft, not to have cheap, not well made materials. So this is the first drop spindle that I bought from Susan's Fiber Shop, and this is how it looks. It's very simple, very plain. It has 4 notches on the edges, which is funny because I think the notches are really good for a beginner. And I looked up some tutorials on YouTube and I drafted my fiber and I spun it. I had a lot of fun with it. I remember sitting and watching the tutorial in my bedroom and drafting the fiber the entire day. I drafted it and it was finished. I finished that in one day. And then I spun and spun, and I don't remember how long it took me to finish the fiber, but I did, and I spun it very fine. Now when I look back at it, I actually have it right here, which is kind of funny. I don't know why I brought it to Germany with me, but and I'm pretty impressed with how I spun my first. So this is one strand of the fiber that I spun, and I overspun it and I overplied it 100%. So this is the fiber, or the yarn. I always mess up those two things. So I've kind of already caked it, but I tried to knit something with it and it didn't really work out. So these are the colors, if you can see, and it's coming completely unplied. So let's find a part that actually is plied. Yeah, so you can kind of see here how I've plied it. And I don't even remember how I plied it, but I think that I plied it in the same direction that I spun it. And when you're spinning, you spin in one direction, usually clockwise, and then when you ply, you spin in the opposite direction, so counterclockwise. And so this is the first yarn that I ever excuse me, this is the first yarn that I ever spun, ever plied, and I had a lot of fun with it. And I don't know why I stopped spinning. So after this, I didn't spin anything for a very, very long time until I actually moved to Germany. And then I spun on my drop spindle a bit more. I found a yarn shop here that carried 100% merino. Other than that, I didn't find anything. Now I know of more yarn shops here that carry a variety. I've never purchased from them because I'm always purchasing online and things like that, or being gifted fiber from friends. One of my friends here in Berlin gave me a lot of fiber. She basically gave me a little fiber stash to have here, so that's really nice. And then I really fell in love with spinning once I got my wheel. And my wheel, that is a whole kind of another story. I've already told it before, but I know a lot of you haven't heard this story, and a lot of you have been asking for it. So it was almost 3 months ago. It was that I received it. I received it shortly before Christmas. I had been telling my husband for a very long time, what's a very long time? For maybe 5 months, that I really was wishing for a wheel. But I was a stay-at-home mom at the time, and my husband was working and going to school for acting. And wheels are very, very expensive here. or in general, I mean, wheels are very expensive. They're around €1,000, 700. And it was just too much money at the time, and it was kind of more of a dream that I had. And I said that it would be one of the first things that we purchased once I started working. So yeah, so it was around Christmas time, and I had just been talking about this and kind of joking around that I wanted one for Christmas, and I knew that I wouldn't get one because of the price that it cost. And so I think it was maybe a week before Christmas, my husband told me that we were going somewhere, and so we got on the train and we drove with Elodie also, and then we ended up outside of someone's house, and we knocked on the door, and inside was a woman. She was maybe 70 years old, I would guess, and she had a wheel. So my husband surprised me with a wheel. I was so shocked. I was beyond ecstatic. I was very, very happy. I was so shocked, like I said. I don't even, thinking about it now, it just kind of boggles my mind. And the woman was so lovely. She really reminded me of someone that my grandma would be friends with. She reminds me of a couple of my grandmother's friends, and I even thought that I could see myself being friends with her, because I get along really well with not elderly women, because 70 I guess isn't elderly, it's not that even that old, but I get along very, very well with women, with old women much older than I am. I really love spending time with my grandma and her friends. I spent so much time with them when I was younger, and I still enjoy it today. So anyway, I thought I would love to be this woman's friend, and so we stayed there and we talked for a little while, and we had coffee, and she told me about her wheel, which it wasn't made by any company. It's completely handmade. And this woman also had the dream of spinning. And she had been wanting to spin for a long time, and she kind of traveled the world. And when she was younger than she is now, I don't know, maybe in her 30s, her father made her wheel, and he surprised her with this wheel. And she took it all over with her in her travels, and I think it's so special. I think it's so neat that her dad had heard her wishes and her wants of wanting a wheel, and not only did he give her a wheel, but he made her this wheel. He made it special for her. He made the design for everything that she wanted and wished, and he made it with her in mind, his little girl, his little baby in mind. And I don't know, I think that's so sweet, and it's really, really fun to know that I'm spinning on a wheel that was handcrafted for someone so special, his daughter, and I'm spinning on a wheel that this woman's father made for her, and she probably spun on it for the first time with excitement and happiness and joy that her dad cared enough for her and thought that she was special enough to take time to make something so wonderful and something that will be so well used. I just think it's a treat to have something so neat like that. And I know that she took it on her travels, so this wheel has been all over Asia and Africa and so many neat and interesting places, and I just wonder where all it's been, who all has seen it, whose hands have touched it. There are so many memories and so much love in this wheel. This wheel, I feel like it just completely represents love and care and handcraft and ancestry, and obviously not my ancestry, but now it has become mine. And I've named her Susie Dale after my grandma. My grandmother's name is Sue and her middle name is Dale. So yeah, that's kind of the story of my wheel and what it means basically, and where all it's been and how it's come to me. And I really enjoy her. I really love spinning on my wheel. And like I've said before, it's not perfectly quiet like I know a lot of the more expensive ones are, but it's wonderful and it's a joy to spin with, and I have fun spinning on her and listening to her and thinking about the woman before me and her father, and maybe Elodie will have it after me. And it's very well made, it's very sturdy, and I can see that it lasts lifetimes. So we have a couple of giveaways going on right now. We have the Nature's Luxury pattern giveaway going on the Ravelry boards, and that one isn't actually so popular, I've noticed, but I think that's because a lot of the patterns are in German. So you German watchers, I know there are a lot of you. You definitely should go and check out the Nature's Luxury giveaway, pattern giveaway. And she's just released a new English pattern, which is beautiful. And she's posted that on the thread as well, Danitza. She's also giving away, you guys have to step on this board. I've noticed that almost nobody is entering in the giveaway that she has going on in her group. All you have to do is join her group and enter in the giveaway. You win 2 skeins of 65% cashmere, 35% silk yarn. It's the same exact yarn that I'm going to be knitting my Raven's Nest shawl for the April knit along, which is going to be Cooperative Press Cascadia ebook. So I'm knitting it in the inky colorway. You can knit it in whatever you want. Any pattern from Cascadia you can knit in whatever yarn you want. It's completely up to you. But if you do want to knit it in the Bliss A, which is the name of the 65% cashmere, 35% silk, Danitza is giving away free shipping, and it's an amazing price for cashmere and silk. I think it's 29 euro or something, which is ridiculous. It ends up, my shawl ends up being 60 euro for the shawl. So I think that's a pretty good price. And while we're talking about knit-alongs, our fingering weight knit-along is coming to an end. It ends on the 15th, and that's about a week away. So I totally forgot to mention this. You've already gotten in more than 75 entries, which is amazing. I'm so excited that so many of you are participating in and are interested in the fingering weight knit-along. It's really fun. I'm having a lot of fun seeing all of your finished projects. They're all amazing, gorgeous, super inspiring. You all know I'm a total sock lover, so the socks kind of kill me, and I want to knit all of those socks, even though I have a hard time knitting pattern socks because all I want to do is knit vanilla socks for some strange reason. Yeah, so while we're talking about socks, wait, I'm like totally getting off track. So let's show you what I'm giving away, because you've gotten in more than 75 entries. So what I will be giving away is something very special. It's not yarn, it's not fiber, it's not knitting related. I will be giving away a teacup. I will be giving away this very beautiful teacup and saucer. And this is a teacup that I bought here in Germany. I bought it last summer when Robert and I were going to flea markets every single weekend. And I had been very, very teacup crazy at this time. I still love my teacups. I still adore them. But this time I was buying a teacup almost every weekend. And I was always on the search for teacups. Usually Robert and I go to two flea markets when we go flea marketing, because there are two pretty near to us, right across the street from each other. And there are so many stalls which carry teacups, but it's really hard to find just the right one. And I had kind of been on a teacup pause, I guess. I had been searching for a couple of weeks and I hadn't found any teacup that I liked. And I can remember that we were quite early at the flea market at Akroneplatz, and there's this man who was there, and he's there all the time, and he's a little bit strange, but he usually is, you can bargain with him pretty well, and I'm a pretty good bargainer. I usually get things at a pretty decent price, and if they don't give me what I want, I never ever buy it, no matter how much I wanted it. If I have a price in my mind before I'm flea marketing, I won't buy it. But yeah, so this man is there all the time. He's still there when we go there. He's always selling things. I feel like he must own like an antique shop or something, and he just brings some random stock each week. I would love to know the story behind that teacup. I don't know its previous story, but after my long teacup pause, I saw this teacup. I was looking at a couple of other teacups on his table, and I saw this teacup, and I thought, oh my goodness, I have to have that one. I really loved it, and I really love roses on teacups. It's just something that's so shabby chic, so dainty, so granny chic sort of style, which I actually really love. It's my favorite way for decorating the house, in all of these sort of embroidered and cross-stitched and teacups and shabby chic sort of fabric. I really, really love and adore that sort of a style. So I found that teacup, and I want to share that teacup with one of you. And then with the teacup, I'm giving away a box of Haloren Kugelchen. And this chocolate is, it's a special chocolate. It's from a chocolatier in Halle, which is actually where my husband is born. Obviously we don't live there, but they're my mom's also. They're her favorite chocolates from Germany. So yeah, I'm giving away a thing of chocolate and a teacup and saucer. And then the other two things that will be given away are, whoops, it's just rolling out. It's so excited to show itself to you. I am giving away the Decadently Divine sock yarn. And then the Spin Monkeys sock yarn in the Violet Beauregard colorway. So now we have 3 prize giveaways, and who knows, in the next giveaway, or in the next knit along, maybe if we reach 100, there will be 4 giveaways. Now watch, in like my 8th give along, well, I'll have like 10 giveaways. No, I don't think so. So on the subject of giveaways, I'm also giving away this week another free ebook put out by Cooperative Press. I'm giving away the Head to Toe ebook. This is by far their most wonderful children's ebook, definitely. And it's really neat because it has sections in it where it's like hat things, foot things, or head things, foot things, neck things, and they have little sections of head things, hats, neck things, scarves, and cowls and shawls, and then they have the feet things with the socks, and all of the patterns are brilliant. They're all very gorgeous, really really well made. The book is really nicely put together. There are a lot of really nice designers that are offered in the book. So that's the exciting giveaway that we're giving away this book. I love giving away ebooks because they have So many nice patterns in them, especially the ones that Cooperative Press puts out. My top 3 Cooperative Press books at the moment are Cascadia. I like the Hitchcock knits, and I really love Head to Toe, which I'm giving away to you guys today, or to one of you today. I would love to know how many of you have knit with, have purchased or have used the Cooperative Press ebooks, because they're really lovely and they're a pretty good price. You get a lot of patterns with the ebook. So that's the giveaway that we're doing this week. So 2, we have the Nature's Luxury, and then we have the Cooperative Press Head to Toe ebook. And jump on over to Nature's Luxury group and enter in that yarn. You seriously can't lose anything. It's 65% silk, 65% cashmere, 35% silk. Nothing to lose except possibly getting a couple skeins of free yarn. And check out her website, because she has loads of yarn, and Danitza uses all natural dyes and things like that are good for the skin and safe. So and she's a really lovely person. She's local, she's German to me anyway, and yeah, so check it out. Nothing to lose. What I've been working on lately, goodness, I have like everything surrounding me. I have been working on my mini bunny love. Well, I finished my socks. As you can see right here. I finished my socks. I don't even want to tell you this, but I didn't do the fish lips kiss heel. It was holding me back so much from these socks, and I am so kind of a little bit bitter with myself that I didn't do it, because it's something that I really want to do. It's something that I sat down and maybe looked at the pattern for 5 minutes, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to knit my normal heel flap and get my grandma's socks done, because I want to get them out to her. And now that I'm designing my book, I really want to be focusing on my designs, because I want to have this finished at the end of the year, my ebook. It will be. So I just did my normal heel flap that I always do, and here are the socks. I haven't weaved in the ends, just like my Grandma Sue says. She doesn't like weaving in any ends, and just like I've told you, I always have my ends hanging out. And I did the cuffs on these pretty long. I don't know actually how my grandma likes her cuffs, but better too long than too short, I guess. And if it's too long, she can just roll the top down, but I think she'll be happy with it. I really love this yarn, and I think it was Joy. Joy, I hope it was you who said this, because if not, I feel really bad. But PM'd me and gave me the best advice for any sort of heel flap. The kiss lips, kiss. That is like a total tongue twister. Anyway, you know the heel that I'm talking about. That heel, and any sort of heel flap sort of heel, any sort of heel except for an afterthought heel. It's a really good idea to knit the heel from the outside strand, or the extra strand of your cake or ball or whatever you're using, because then it doesn't mess up the stripes on the top of the foot, which mine did. And I read her message after I had already finished one sock. So I love that advice. Why I was not quick enough to think of that, I don't know. But Joy, I hope that's your name, I am very happy that you sent me that message, because I'm going to do that from now on. It is the perfect idea for self-striping yarn. This is my first ever pair of self-striping socks. Would you believe that? I have never ever in my life purchased a pair of self-striping yarn until now, and it was really fun. These socks, I feel like these were the quickest socks I have ever knit. And in the ebook, in the book that I'm designing, I will have 2 pair of socks. One of them will be a Fair Isle pair, and then the other pair will be a cabled pair of socks. And I already have some ideas in mind, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the concept of this book that I'm knitting, or that I'm creating. I don't want to give too much away because I watched an episode of Retro Lemon Studio with Jenna Kapoor. I don't know if you've seen that before, but it's another good podcast that I really like. Here I am, like, talking about different podcasts every week. I really like her podcast, and in one that I was watching today, she talked about why she never really talks about or at all shows her pattern until it's released. And she kind of talked about how there actually are some people out there who are stealing pattern ideas and claiming them as their own and getting the pattern out quickly and before the actual person who had the pattern idea gets it out. And this kind of made me a little bit nervous. Because obviously I have a podcast and I have an ebook that I want to create, and I want to talk about what I'm knitting, and a lot of the things that I'm knitting are going to be patterns that I'm working on, so I'm kind of having a little bit of trouble with how to deal with that. So yeah, but the main idea behind my ebook is I'm designing my patterns based upon a lot of the things that I have seen from my grandma or my grandma's patterns without using her patterns. I'm drawing inspiration from things that I've seen her knitting, things that I love that she's knit that she maybe doesn't have a written pattern down to, things that make me think of my grandma, colors maybe that make me think of my grandma in yarns that I'm knitting, or stitches, or Fair Isle definitely reminds me of my grandma because, well, my family is Norwegian. Most of my family comes from Norway, and Scandinavian design is full of Fair Isle. So my grandma has been knitting Fair Isle sweaters. She knits Fair Isle clog socks, things like this. She's been knitting since her knitting story began. And so this ebook is kind of a tribute to my grandma in a way, a tribute to our relationship, a tribute to her, I guess, and our time together. And it will have a couple of little stories in there, but mostly just patterns. And there will be some socks in there. There will be 2 shawls, a stole, a sweater, a child's tunic. That's all a pair of mittens, children's socks. I think that's it, but maybe there's more and I just can't remember off the top of my head. So here's the shawl that I'm knitting on, and I'm not going to show you a lot of detail in this, and I already know the name of what this one is going to be called. But all of the names and things will have to wait until the book comes out. So again, I will just kind of show you the yarn that I'm knitting. And this is the Cyborg Craft Room in the Space Oddity colorway. And I love this. I'm using my beautiful Lanai stitch markers. Her stitch markers are my favorite. Or Lanai. I really love the Lanai stitch markers. They never ever snag on my yarn, and I've definitely had stitch markers that do. So these ones are really nice. And the Cyborg Craft yarn, or Cyborg Craft Room yarn, is such a joy to knit with. It's very buttery. I love to touch it. And I love knitting with it. And my Carbon's Knit Pro needles are a dream. I have the interchangeable set, and they are by far, I don't think that anything can compare to these needles. They're 100% my favorite needles. I love the way they click. I love how smooth they are. I love the transition between the cable and the needle. They're amazing. They're wonderful. I couldn't ask for anything more in a set of interchangeables, to be honest. And they're not super expensive. I mean, they're definitely a little chunk of money, but I think they're 100% worth it, and they're a dream to knit with. They're very nice, and I enjoy knitting with them. Any project that I can possibly knit on my Carbon's Knit Pro interchangeable needles, I do. I will not skip the chance to knit on these, and this is the sound they make when you're knitting with them. So if you don't like that sound, these needles are not for you. Should I make it like 100 times and then you can like decide if you like the sound or not? I won't do that to you. But I'm really enjoying knitting with this yarn, and I do think that I'm going to use a gray contrast with that. And I'm still deciding actually if this yarn isn't too busy. I think it may be too busy for the shawl. The next thing, I have another design, one of my designs on the needles. So I'm using Linné yarn in the coral colorway. This is the same yarn that I used for my whippoorwill shawl. And this is the yarn. I have 2 ounces left, and each mitten should take about 1 ounce. So I am crossing my fingers that I have enough. Otherwise, I guess I have to order another skein, which is okay, because I really like this color and I can see using it for a lot of other things. And so I'm just kind of knitting on the cuff. Here is the back of the cuff. And let me put it on. This is all that I will show you. Next time I'm not going to show you anything more. And this is the front of the cuff. It's very beautiful, I think, of course, because I'm designing it. And it's kind of reminiscent of the ladies' lacy mittens that my grandma knits, because those are my all-time. I think that's my favorite pattern of hers, I would say. So I'm kind of doing my own twist on those mittens, and I'm really enjoying knitting on it. So far, most of my patterns will be quite finely knit, because that's how I knit. I knit a lot of, these are size US 1 needles, 1.75 millimeter. I really like fine knitting. I like delicate, fine knitting. It looks so much more, I don't know, I guess it's just what appeals to my eye. I know a lot of people like larger knits, but I really like small needles, fine yarn. And so a lot of my patterns will be knit with a sock yarn. The largest yarn definitely that I will use will be a worsted weight, and that will be in the tunic, and there will be an adult sweater, in the adult sweater. And I think that's it for worsted weight yarn. Everything else will be either a sport DK or a sock weight. So yes. The next and final thing that I'm working on are my mini bunny loves by Susan B. Anderson. So I have kind of almost finished one. Isn't he cute? So this is the front of him or her. I guess Elodie will decide. I still have to sew in the middle of the ears together, and then I have to make his little 2 feet and the pom-pom. And then I obviously have to do his face and eyes. So here he is, and I'm really shocked that the ears stay straight up. In the pattern at first I wondered if she had pipe cleaners inside, and I actually tried to put pipe cleaners inside of the ears. Don't do it. It's kind of ridiculous. And they stay up on their own. I think just because it's knit at such a tight gauge. So that's pretty fun. It goes really fast, but I haven't finished him just because my mind has been so crazy lately and very excited. It's so neat to really be designing, because my mind is over flooded with tons of ideas. I have so many ideas for right now I'm really thinking about obviously the mittens, the shawl, and the cabled socks. I think that will be the next thing that I'm working on, is the cabled socks. So I've really been thinking about those lately. And that's all for my works in progress. Quite a bit, I feel like. And I would have been knitting even more, but I've been reading through a lot of knitting design books and things like that, just to help me get ideas and make sure that I'm really designing a good piece and writing the pattern very well. But I also actually worked as a pattern editor for a couple of years when I was a teenager. So I don't think I'll have too big of a problem with that. A knitting pattern editor is what I did. So we opened the show with talking a little bit about how I started spinning and the story of my spinning wheel. So why don't we talk a little bit more about spinning, what spinning I've been up to this week, as if all that knitting wasn't enough. I skeined up my silk yarn. So this is how it looks, and it actually ends up being 405 meters, which is about 435 yards of definite lace weight yarn. Single plied though, it was only about an ounce, 1.8 ounces of fiber. So I still, it feels amazing. It's really beautiful, and I'm quite pleased with it. But now that I have it skeined, I wish you could like reach your hand in through the camera and feel this yarn, because it is so amazingly soft, and it's definitely something you could wear at your face. I have no socks on the needles, which is so crazy. I'm sure you guys wondered what is going on, because I actually finished these socks quite a couple of days ago. And I think that this from the Decadently Divine sock yarn, the bouncy sock yarn in the Twilight colorway, I think that I will use this to design my cable socks. Although it doesn't have any nylon in it. I've never knit socks without nylon, and I know that a lot of people get holes in their socks when they knit it with just merino wool or just plain old wool. But we'll see how it goes. Robert, what are you doing? So the next and final thing that I've been working on, as far as the shop goes, I haven't done any update. The only thing that I've been doing lately are custom orders. So I have no idea when anything is going to go up in the shop as far as actual bags that haven't been claimed yet, because I get so many emails in the week for custom orders that's kind of all that I've had the time to make lately. And I know that a couple of you have been saying that you hope you get a bag when an order comes up. I would say just write me an email on Etsy or even Ravelry if there's a specific bag or fabric that you like, because at the moment it kind of seems like that's all that I really have time for as far as shop updates go. Who knows, maybe every once in a while I'll throw a couple of bags up in the shop that haven't been claimed, but for now, this past week I've just been doing custom orders. The final thing that I've been working on is something that I started a very, very long time ago. My grandma often, or at least she used to, get these kits. I know she talked about one on I think 2 episodes ago when she was featured. She talked about this sweater kit that she bought, and I don't know what this kit was for, but she has given me, I think, either 2 or 3 kits, random kits that she gets and says, do something with this yarn. No, she's given me 4 actually. But anyway, so this kit, I decided to make crocheted granny squares, but not your traditional granny squares. This is kind of like a popcorn stitch flower granny square. And this is a blanket that I started, Robert, when did I start this?
Don't know, 2 years ago?
Yeah. I think I started it.
No?
No, maybe it was 2 years ago. either a year or 2 years ago, I can't remember, but it seems like a really long time ago. And I wanted to finish it, I think for Elodie's birthday or something, because I want it to be quite large. I want it to be for her bed, and I think I have maybe 100 of them finished, but they're really pretty. So there are these centers, and I'm doing all of the centers in green or pink. So all of them will either be in this pink or this green, and I actually think they're really pretty. I like granny square blankets quite a bit. If they're knit out of nice yarn. I'm definitely not into the acrylic granny square blanket. It's just not something that I really like. Some of you might, but it's not something. You all know I don't want to spend my time knitting with acrylic yarn. I really like knitting with natural fibers. So if I'm going to knit a granny square blanket, I want it to be out of natural fibers. So I'm using cotton fleece, all seasons luxury cotton yarn. It's 80% cotton, 20% merino, and it's really nice because it's not super heavy like a cotton blanket would be. I don't know, it's really, it's light for merino or cotton. So these are the colors of the squares that I am knitting. I think there are 5 different ones. So I have this.
Not so fast, I cannot really see it.
That one looks like there's a mistake in it actually. A lot of them. I've just been doing these kind of on my way to work. I'll do one of them because it takes about 20 minutes. And I think I've only made 5 this week. But it's a really good, because I've been struggling with a good project that I can work on my way to work, as I've mentioned before. And the granny squares are so simple. I don't need any pattern because I've made, like I said, about 100 of them. I think I'll need a total of 300. So I think that this project will be going on for a very long time. And I've even ordered a couple of skeins of this off of Ravelry, off of people's stashes, like this one for example. My grandma gave me this skein, but I don't think I will use this color in the blanket. It doesn't go well at all with the pastel colors. So these are the colors that I'm using, plus this one. And it's fun. It's very mindless, and I can do one and finish one pretty quickly, I guess. Maybe in 20 minutes, I would say. So yeah, I had stopped working on it for quite a while, and then like I said, I picked it back up again because I thought it was something good to work on my way to work, and I think that I'll keep up doing that. It's the only thing that I have in my purse, so it's the only thing I can work on, and it's helping me finish the blanket in the meantime. So those are all of the projects and everything that I'm working on today. I hope that you enjoyed chatting with me. I really enjoyed spending a little bit of my time with all of you, and I hope that you have a nice week ahead.